the war that changed everything. In the early hours of September 1, 1939, the world was still asleep. Cities were quiet, streets were empty. Families rested peacefully, unaware that history was about to fracture. Then the bombs fell. German forces stormed into Poland with terrifying speed. Tanks rolled across the borders. Fighter planes screamed across the sky. Within hours, Europe realized something horrifying. A new world war had begun. But this war wasn't just another conflict between nations. It would become the deadliest war in human history. More than 70 million people would die. Entire cities would vanish, and the world would never be the same again. The question is, how did humanity reach this point? To understand World War II, we must go back to the end of the first one. In 1918, World War I finally ended after 4 brutal years. Europe was shattered. Millions were dead. Empires had collapsed. But instead of healing the wounds, the peace agreement made them worse. The Treaty of Versailles punished Germany severely. The country was forced to give up land, reduce its military, and pay enormous reparations. Germany's economy collapsed. Inflation spiraled out of control. People carried stacks of money just to buy bread. Anger began to grow. Humiliation turned into resentment, and resentment created the perfect conditions for a dangerous leader to rise. His name was Adolf Hitler. Hitler promised the German people something they desperately wanted: pride, power, and revenge. He blamed Germany's suffering on enemies both inside and outside the country. Through powerful speeches and relentless propaganda, he gained the support of millions. By 1933, Hitler became Germany's leader. And once he had power, he wasted no time preparing for war. Germany secretly rebuilt its military. Soldiers trained, weapons were produced, tanks and aircraft rolled out of factories. Soon, Hitler began expanding. In 1938, Germany annexed Austria. Then came Czechoslovakia. The world watched nervously. But many leaders believed giving Hitler what he wanted would prevent another war. They were wrong, because Hitler didn't want peace. He wanted domination. Then came the invasion of Poland. Within days, Britain and France declared war on Germany. World War II had officially begun. At first, Germany seemed unstoppable. Using a strategy called Blitzkrieg, lightning war, German forces attacked with incredible speed. Tanks, planes, and soldiers moved together in devastating coordination. Poland fell quickly, then Denmark, then Norway, then the Netherlands and Belgium. Finally, Germany launched a massive attack on France. The French army was considered one of the strongest in the world, but in just 6 weeks, France collapsed. Paris was occupied. Europe trembled. Only one major power remained standing in Western Europe: Britain. Hitler believed Britain would surrender quickly. He was wrong again. In the summer of 1940, the skies above Britain became a battlefield. German bombers and fighter planes launched relentless attacks on British cities. This air campaign became known as the Battle of Britain. Night after night, bombs fell on London and other cities. Buildings burned. Families hid in underground shelters. Yet Britain refused to surrender. Against the odds, British pilots defended their skies and slowly pushed back the German Air Force. It was Hitler's first major defeat. But the war was far from over. In June 1941, Hitler made one of the most catastrophic decisions of the entire war. He invaded Soviet Union. At first, the German army advanced rapidly. Millions of Soviet soldiers were captured. Cities fell one after another. But Russia had something the Germans did not expect: endless land, brutal winters, and fierce resistance. As temperatures dropped below freezing, German soldiers found themselves unprepared. Tanks froze, supplies ran out. The advance slowed,
and then stopped. Meanwhile, another power was about to enter the war. Across the Pacific Ocean, tensions were rising between Japan and the United States. Japan wanted to dominate Asia and the Pacific, but American economic sanctions threatened its ambitions. So Japan made a shocking decision. On December 7, 1941, Japanese aircraft launched a surprise attack on the American naval base in Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. Explosions ripped through the harbor, battleships burned, more than 2,400 Americans were killed. The next day, the United States declared war on Japan. Soon after, Germany declared war on the United States. What had started as a European conflict had now become a true global war. Fighting raged across continents and oceans. In North Africa, Allied and German forces clashed in brutal desert battles. In the Pacific, American and Japanese troops fought on remote islands surrounded by endless ocean. But the most brutal fighting happened on the Eastern Front. In the Soviet city of Stalingrad, one of the most savage battles in history began. For months, soldiers fought street by street, building by building, sometimes room by room. The winter was merciless. Food was scarce. Death was everywhere. In early 1943, the German army at Stalingrad finally surrendered. It was a turning point. From that moment on, Germany began to lose ground. Meanwhile, the Allies were planning something massive, a mission that would change the course of the war forever. On June 6, 1944, thousands of ships gathered in the English Channel. Inside them were more than 150,000 Allied soldiers. Their mission? Invade Nazi-occupied France. At dawn, they stormed the beaches of Normandy. Machine gun fire tore through the air. Explosions shook the sand. Many soldiers never made it off the boats. But slowly, the Allies pushed forward. By the end of the day, they had established a foothold in France. The liberation of Europe had begun. Over the next months, Allied forces advanced towards Germany from the west, while the Soviet army pushed from the east. Germany was now trapped between two unstoppable forces. Cities were destroyed, supplies vanished, the Nazi regime began to collapse. Finally, in April 1945, Soviet troops entered Berlin. Hitler's empire was crumbling around him. On April 30th, Adolf Hitler took his own life inside his bunker. Just days later, Germany officially surrendered. But the war in the Pacific continued. Japan refused to surrender despite devastating losses, so the United States made a decision that would change warfare forever. In August 1945, a new and terrifying weapon was used for the first time in history: an atomic bomb. The first bomb was dropped on Hiroshima. Within seconds, the city was obliterated. 3 days later, a second bomb struck Nagasaki. The destruction was unimaginable. Facing total devastation, Japan finally surrendered on September 2, 1945. World War II was over. After 6 long years, the deadliest conflict in human history had finally ended. But the scars it left behind would last for generations. Cities had been reduced to rubble. Millions of families had lost loved ones, and the world had entered a new and uncertain era. Yet out of the devastation came a new global order. Nations came together to form the United Nations, hoping to prevent another catastrophe like World War II. Whether humanity truly learned from the war is still a question history continues to ask. Because the story of World War II is not just about battles and leaders, it's a warning, a reminder of how quickly the world can fall into darkness and how much it costs to bring it back into the light.